Okay, hello everyone. Welcome sa panibago nating lecture. This time, psychometrics. We will talk about validity of psychological tests. But before I talk about validity, God's word muna tayo. 1 John chapter 4 verse 1. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, for many false prophets have gone out into the world. So itong passage na to, very connected to the concept of validity in psychometrics. Mamaya, ipapaliwanag ko paano yan naging konektado. So before I talk about the term validity in psychometrics, I want to start shallow, mababa muna. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng word na validate in our everyday language? Hindi naman kasi ito highfalutin word. It is a very common word na ginagamit natin in our everyday conversation, and not only that, the next slides will show you na ang pag-validate is an everyday event thing. Lagi siya nangyayari in our everyday life. So ayokong isipin nyo na yung validate o yung validation. It is a very technical term only found in psychological tests. Araw-araw, meron tayong pinagdaraanan na validation. So according to the dictionary definition, ang validate pala, ibig sabihin yan, to check the truthfulness of something. Gusto nating malaman kung totoo ba yung isang bagay or yung isang tao. That's what it means to validate. Ang end goal ng validate is to find out whether something or someone is true. In our everyday life, one example of the validation process that we undergo, halimbawa pumunta ka sa isang mall, meron kang bibilin na cellphone na mahal. Siyempre, wala kang cash. So what do you do kung wala kang cash? You can get your credit card at yun yung pambabayad mo para doon sa cellphone na mahal. Na ang isang shop na nagbebenta ng cellphone na matino, ang tamang procedure dyan, when you give them your credit card, hindi ka agad-agad na isuswipe yun. Kailangan i-validate muna nila yung credit card. Specifically, anong binavalidate sa credit card? Kung yung pangalan ba sa credit card, ikaw ba talaga yung nagmamay-ari nun? And the best way to do that is to ask for the valid ID of the person using the credit card. Got that? Vina-validate natin, chine-check natin yung truthfulness kung ikaw nga ba talaga may-ari ng credit card. Kasi baka naman yung credit card napulot mo lang sa daan, tapos trinay mo lang kung gumagana ba, ayaw natin mangyari yon. We want to validate, the store wants to validate na talagang ikaw ang rightful owner ng credit card na ginagamit mong pambayad ng mahal na cellphone. So that process that I described, hiningan mo ng valid ID para malaman kung ikaw ba talaga may-ari ng credit card, is a process of validation. 'Di ba? So sa mga shopping malls, laging merong validation na nangyayari. Hindi lang 'yan nangyayari sa psychometrics. You can even use validation when it comes to love. For those of you who are in a relationship, how would you validate na yung jowa mo mahal ka? And that's a very important process. Syempre, pag sinasabihan ka ng isang tao na mahal ka niya, dapat i-validate mo kung totoo ba yung sinasabi niya na mahal ka niya. Now, there are many ways how to do this, but one tip na gusto kong i-share. Pero ito optional naman kung gusto nyong kung gusto nyong gawin. Wala namang sapilitan to, no? But one way to validate the truth of your boyfriend's or your girlfriend's love for you is honesty when it comes to cell phones. So ang gawin mo, sabihin mo sa boyfriend mo, sabihin mo sa girlfriend mo, pahiram ng cellphone, dapat ipapahiram nila yan. Kasi that will validate kung talagang wala silang ginagawang kalokohan behind your back. Because as we know, no, yung cellphone, isa yan sa mga digital devices that we have na ang dali-daling mag-cheat. May tinatawag na digital cheating, 'di ba? Sa digital cheating, ibig sabihin nagiging unfaithful yung isang partner gamit ang digital means, no? Nakikipag-chat sa iba, may ka-text na iba, nagbabrowse sa profile pictures ng iba. You know what I mean. So kapag ang boyfriend mo o ang girlfriend mo talagang totoo ang pagmamahal sa iyo, wala siyang gagawin na kahit na in the cellphone na ikakasira ng relationship ninyo. Kapag binigay sa'yo kaagad ng boyfriend o ng girlfriend mo yung cellphone niya, then it's validated that that person is committed to you, that that person is exclusively for you. After all, definition din ng Bible yan about what true love is. Anong sinabi sa 1 Corinthians about true love? True love does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Alam niya na ang mag-cheat digitally, mali. Therefore, hindi niya gagawin. Alam niya na dapat pag nagmamahal ka, dapat totoo, hindi mo siya niloloko. Yun ang validation of love in your current relationship. Alright? So, assignment nyo yan. If you want to lang naman, no? Kung gusto nyo, i-validate nyo. If your partners really do love you, it will reflect on the way they use their cell phone behind your back. Even in spiritual matters, kailangan nagbabalidate tayo. The Bible instructed us to do that. Hindi dapat lahat ng pastor, ng bishop, ng mga brothers o ng mga pare, pinaniniwalaan natin. We have to evaluate. We have to validate whether these messengers teaching us spiritual teachings are really from God. Yun yung point ng binasa natin kanina na 1 John 4:1. We need to test the spirits. We need to test whether the messenger is really coming from God or not. Kaya nga naka-underline dyan whether they are from God, kasi merong mga preachers does not come from God, they are called false prophets. So kailangan siguraduhin mo yung truthfulness that this messenger, this teacher is really God's messenger. Now, let's take this a little bit higher. How would you know? How would you test? How would you validate? Kung yung messenger ba coming from God, may instruction dyan. Si Jesus in the book of Matthew, by their fruits. So, ang gagawin mo, tignan nyo yung buhay nila at tignan nyo yung mga outcomes ng buhay nila, yung fruits. Ano ba yung nakikita nyo na outcomes sa mga buhay nila? And if they are from God, you should be seeing fruits coming from the Spirit. Yun na yun yung tinatawag na fruits of the Spirit ni St. Paul sa Galatians. So, if you research about their life, about their ministry, yan mga dapat makikita mo. Punong-puno sila ng love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Dapat yung profile nila, if you do some background research, punong-puno ng ganyan. So this more or less validates that the preacher comes from God. Kaya kapag nag-research ka ng preacher mo at iba yung nakita mo, things that are contrary to these things, like the following, although wala naman tayo sinasabing pangalan dito, no? Kapag ganyan ang nakita mo, na fruits of the messenger, now medyo questionable na yung validity of the messenger, whether he really comes from God or not. Kasi ito nga talaga yung pang-validate natin. These are the fruits that you need to be seeing in a messenger's life coming from God. Alright? So let's now talk about validity in psychometrics. I hope by now na-realize nyo na ang validity o ang validation, hindi lang ito nangyayari sa psychometrics. Nangyayari yan in our everyday life, but let's zoom in this time. After all, yan naman talaga yung lecture natin ngayon, no? Validity in the field of psychometrics. I am using the version of Validity by Anastasi and Urbina. For those of you who are asking anong textbook ang gamit ko, eto yon. Sabi ng textbook ni Anastasi and Urbina, validity answers the question, does a test measure what it claims to measure? Sa simpleng Tagalog, ginagawa ba ng test yung dapat niyang gawin? Kapag ang sagot, oo, then the test is valid. Kung ang sagot, hindi, edi hindi valid yung test. So you apply that in the language of psychometrics, kailan nagiging valid ang happiness scale? Kapag napatunayan mo na yung skill na yan, ang minimeasure nga niya, happiness. Kailan nagiging valid ang IQ test? Kapag napatunayan mo na yung test na yan, ang binavalidate nga niya, ang minimeasure nga niya is IQ. Alright? So those are the question, or that's the question that validity aim to answer, is the test measuring what it claims to measure. Now, please don't be confused between reliability and validity. Isa to sa mga weaknesses ng mga psych majors. Minsan, napapagbaliktad nila yung reliability and validity. Remember, these two concepts ask two different questions about a psychological test. Ang tanong na tinatanong ng reliability is your test giving you consistent results? Ang tinatanong sa validity, is the test fulfilling its purpose? Kaya hindi lahat ng test na reliable, automatic valid na. Kasi ang test, pwedeng highly reliable, ang gaganda ng Cronbach's alpha ng mga items, pero at the end of the day, hindi pala niya minimeasure yung dapat niyang i-measure. So the test is consistently wrong in measuring what it claims to measure. So huwag kayong makampante na kapag okay na ang reliability ng test, automatic, valid na yung test. Kaya nga, we can connect this to my lecture on the steps in test development. Kung mapapansin niyo yung process, merong kulang na procedure. Using this procedure, yung numbers 1 to 7 na diniscuss ko in my other lectures, no? Reliability lang yung na-establish natin dito, yung numbers 4 and 5. Sabi nga natin, iba ang reliability sa validity. Therefore, after natin ma-establish yung reliability, ano ang next step dapat? Mag-e-establish tayo ng validity. Question, saan dyan? Among these different steps, saan dyan ipapasok yung pag-validate ng isang psychological test after yan ng pilot testing dito sa step 6? Okay, so even before you write the manual of the test, kailangan na-establish mo na yung validity ng test. It's just that in my classes, in my face-to-face classes, hindi na namin nagagawa yung number 7, yung test validation, because of time constraints. Pero sa tunay na buhay, kapag magde-develop ka ng psychological test, even before you publish the manual, kailangan na patunayan mo muna na yung test mo is valid. Sinusukat niya, yung kiniklaim niya, na sinusukat niya. Okay? So, after you establish number 7, now you can proceed to writing the test manual. Okay? So, the following are the different ways on how to validate a test. Ang madidiscuss ko lang in this lecture, numbers 1 to 4. Gumawa ako ng separate lecture on factor analysis. You can just watch that from my YouTube channel. Okay? Now, before we talk about those 4 ways on how to validate psychological tests, mahalaga muna na dapat master nyo na kung paano mag-interpret ng correlation, because this is the main statistical method that we use in validating psychological tests. So, let's have a very quick practice. Halimbawa, meron kang correlation coefficient na positive 0.93 between religiosity and self-confidence. So, meron na kayong idea kung ano nangyari dito. Meron tayong instrument on religiosity. Meron din tayong instrument on self-confidence. And then, we pilot tested these 2 instruments to a population. So, may grupo ng mga tao na sumagot ng dalawang test na yan. And then, we computed for their raw scores. And then, we encoded their scores in a statistical software. Sabihin na natin Jamovi, and then we run a correlation analysis. Ito ngayon ang lumabas na correlation coefficient. How do you interpret this? Ang interpretation niyan, it seems like from this population, those with high levels of religiosity also had high levels of self-confidence. And the reverse is true. Those with low levels of religiosity also had low levels of self-confidence. Kasi nga, direct and strong relationship between these 2 variables. Kapag yung positive naging negative, ibig sabihin ang relationship naging inverse, which means it seems like in this population, those people who had high religiosity had lower confidence, and those people with lower religiosity also had higher self-confidence. Baliktad. Okay? So, high religiosity, low confidence, low religiosity, high confidence, because the relationship became inverse. Ngayon, hindi ko na lang nalagay sa slide paano kung yung magnitude, etong decimal number dito, naging let's say 0.10. Negative 0.10, it means that there is almost no relationship. Sa Tagalog, walang kinalaman ang religiosity sa self-confidence. So kapag weak ang relationship na lumabas, wag yun ang problemahin kung negative or positive. The fact that it has a weak relationship, it means walang connection yung dalawang variables na yan. Okay? So I hope that short review na na reinforce yung skill nyo on how to interpret correlation coefficients, which is again a very important skill in validating psychological tests. Punta na ngayon tayo sa case number 1. I'm going to zoom this in. I-resize natin. Mukhang naputol yata, no? So you can just pause the video if you need to. Ayan. So this is case number 1. Basahin nyo, pause the video if you need to. So, meron tayong binavalidate na psychological test dito. Ang kiniklaim ng test na to is it measures what? Intelligence. So, ang goal natin dito, patunayan na yung test na to, ang minimeasure nga niya is intelligence. How are we going to do that? Okay? So, step 1 ang gagawin natin dyan, we are going to administer this test to different grade levels. I-administer natin yung test na yan sa grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, at bakit? Ano yung logic behind that step? Because we read according to the literature that intelligence improves as a person ages. Ibig sabihin, habang tumatanda, sabi sa literature, ang intelligence pataas ng pataas. And that's what we want to find out in this step. Diba? Kung mauhuli ba o makukuha ba natin yung pattern according to the literature na ang intelligence habang tumatanda, tumataas. So, kukuha tayo ng tatlong grupo na magkakaiba yung edad. Grades 1, 2, and 3. Pwede rin naman, para mas defined, i-disperse mo. Pwedeng grade 1 yung first population, grade 3 yung second population, grade 6 yung next population. Or pwede rin naman by year level or by academic level. Elementary students, kuha ka ng high school students, kuha ka ng college students. You see? So that is where that step is coming from. May nabasa kasi tayo sa literature na ang intelligence may kinalaman sa age. Ang tawag sa step na yan is age differentiation technique according to the language of Anastasi, wherein chine-check natin kung yung construct ba nung test nagbabago according to the developmental stage people are in. So ang tanong, paano natin nalalaman na ang isang psychological variable may kinalaman sa age? Kaya nga kung babalik tayo sa case number 1, buti na lang nagbasa ka ng review of literature. So I want to emphasize here the importance of literature review in test development. Laging step 1 yan kapag gagawa ka ng psychological test, magbabasa ka ng maraming literature, maraming journal articles about the construct of the test that you are developing. Kasi yung literature ang magsasabi sa iyo ng mga key features, ng mga main points, main knowledge na dapat alam mo about the construct that you are dealing with. So in this case, nalaman natin na ang intelligence, because of review of literature, may kinalaman pala yan sa age. So step 2, anong gagawin natin after we administer the test to the 3 different populations na magkakaiba yung age? We are going to get the results. Kukunin mo yung raw score ng mga tao na yan and then you will be comparing those 3 populations. Okay? Ito dapat ang itsura more or less ng result mo if you're going to conclude that your test is valid. Diba? Pinakamatalino dapat yung grade 3 kasi sila yung pinakamatanda, pinakamababa ang IQ ng grade 1 kasi sila ang pinakabata, moderate or gitna yung grade 2. Kapag ang result mo, ang itsura ganyan, anong ibig sabihin yan? Maybe your test is not measuring intelligence but something else, which is what we don't know. But what we do know is hindi intelligence ang minimeasure ng test mo kasi hindi niya nasunod yung projected pattern that we saw in the literature na dapat ang intelligence pataas ang pataas habang tumatanda. So again, ang tawag sa procedure na yan is age differentiation technique. Pero hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon pwede nating magamit yung technique na yan because there are some psychological constructs that are not related to age. Diba? Hindi naman lahat ng psychological variables may kinalaman sa age. So paano if you are faced in a situation where yung test na ginagawa mo walang kinalaman sa age? Such as in case number 2, let me zoom it in. You can just pause the video if you need to. So this time, ang winavalidate nating test is on optimism. Ang goal natin, patunayan na yung test na to, ang minimeasure nga niya is optimism. So what do we do? Okay? Step 1, hanap ka ng established test that is strongly related to your test construct. Bakit hindi natin ginamit yung step kanina in the previous procedure but hindi tayo naghanap ng population with different age? Kasi sabi nga sa literature, going back, no, wala palang kinalaman sa age yung optimism. So add out na kaagad yung age differentiation. So what do we do then? Balik tayo sa step 1, hanap ka ng established test na related sa construct nung test mo. Ang ibig sabihin ng established dito, a test that is already valid, already reliable, already in the market, already being used in the industry. And most of these established tests, kailangan mo talagang bilhin. Kaya ang isa pang lesson dito, ang test validation magastos. Kailangan mo rin bumili ng mga established psychological tests para lang patunayan na yung ginagawa mong test is really measuring what it claims to measure. So the next question now is still in connection to step 1. Ano ngayon yung test na hahanapin mo na related sa test construct mo, which is on optimism? Balik tayo sa case 2. Kung mapapansin niyo, meron akong question mark dito, di ba? So ano ang unang nalaman mo sa review of literature mo? Ang optimism, no connection with age. Therefore, hindi na pwede age differentiation. Buti na lang nagbasa ka pa ng literature at nalaman mo, based on the literature, na ang optimism pala, as you can see on the slide, no, is strongly related with happiness. Malaki pala ang kinalaman ng optimism sa happiness according to literature. Most likely, positive psychology literature yan. So what do we do with that detail? Yun ngayon yung hahanapin mong established test. Para ma-validate yung test mo on optimism, hanap ka ng established test on happiness. Reliable na, valid na, ginagamit na, nasa market na, nasa industry na, established test on happiness. Therefore, in step 1, dalawa na ang test ang hawak mo. Meron ka ng hinahawakan na optimism test na dinedevelop mo, meron ka na rin isa pang test on happiness which is already established. Yun yung binili mong test on happiness. Alright? And then step 2, hanap ka ng population na kukuha ng dalawang test ngayon. And then step 3, administer the test. Step 4, you note the score for each person in that population. If you can follow my line of thinking, sa isang tao in this procedure, ilang scores ang makukuha mo? Dalawa. So in Jamovi, pag encode mo yan, dalawang columns ang gagamitin mo. First column would be the person's optimism score. Second column is the person's happiness score. So, i-encode mo yan sa lahat ng participants na nag-take ng test mo. And then, after you encode everything, now you're going to run a correlation analysis. Hahanapin mo ngayon yung correlation coefficient ng dalawang variables na yan. Optimism scores with happiness scores. Now, these are the following possible outcomes that will determine kung yung test mo magiging valid or hindi. So, among these possible outcomes, ang outcome na magko-conclude that your test indeed really measures optimism would be number 1. Kasi yan ngayon ini-expect mo eh. Sabi sa literature, malaki ang kinalaman ng happiness and optimism, and that's exactly what you saw in outcome 1. Positive and strong ang relationship between happiness scores and optimism scores. Although, idagdag ko lang din, hindi rin naman maganda na sobrang lakas ng relationship between those two scores. Like, hindi rin maganda na kapag ang R mo dito is positive 0.98 or positive 0.99 because that tells you that your optimism is also a happiness test. Wala silang point of difference. Masyadong malaki ang overlap nila, so that will question your test. Whether it really measures optimism or happiness. Nagigets nyo? So what we want to see here, hindi naman masyadong mataas, yung kahit moderate lang. Positive 0.80 to positive 0.85. Yan. Para meron pa rin point of difference between those two measures. And then for numbers 2 and 3, kapag yan yung makita mong mga result ng correlation mo, automatic ang ibig sabihin yan, hindi valid yung test mo. Because it does not follow what the literature projects between optimism and happiness. So, ibig sabihin yan, baka yung test na ginagawa mo, it does not measure optimism, but something else. What is that something else? We don't know. Got that? So, eto lang, yung outcome na kapag nakita mo will make you conclude that indeed, your test measures optimism. Ang tawag sa procedure na yan is convergent validity. Ang ginagawa natin sa convergent validity, kino-correlate natin yung vina-validate nating test sa isa pang established test na merong related construct. Like in my previous example, we correlated our optimism test with an established happiness test. Or, siguro kung gumagawa ka ng test on neuroticism, i-correlate mo yan sa isang established test on general anxiety. So, ang tanong, paano mo malalaman kung ano yung mga psychological variables related to the test construct that you are working on? Paano ulit malalaman yan? Review of literature. Kaya ulit-ulitin ko, lagi talagang mahalaga ang review of related literature because it will tell you kung anong mga psychological variables ang related doon sa test na ginagawa mo. Para malaman mo kung ano yung test na pwede mong gamitin to validate your test using convergent validity. Other examples, halimbawa gumagawa ka ng instrument that measures suicide ideation, which is a very legit psychological variable. Ibig sabihin ng suicide ideation, the degree to which a person thinks about suicidal thoughts. And according to studies, mas mataas ang score mo sa suicide ideation, mas tumataas din yung chance that the person will actually commit suicide. Kaya risk factor sa development kapag mataas masyado ang score ng tao sa suicide ideation. So anyway, let's say gumawa ka ng test at ito yung mini-measure ng test mo. Ano ang pwede mong pang-convergent validity sa test na ginagawa mo? Hanap ka ng established test na konektado, related sa variable na suicide ideation. So again, paano mo malalaman yan? Magre-review of literature ka. So hanap ka ng mga journal articles that talks about suicide ideation, and then you go to the instruments part, makikita mo naman merong mga details kang ma-encounter that will help you identify which variables are connected to your test construct. Like for example, in this article, pag pinuntahan mo yung instrument part niya, gumamit sila ng suicide ideation scale, and then you read this. SIS scores, suicide ideation scale yung SIS, were possibly correlated with depressive symptoms and hopelessness scores. Pwede mo na ngayon gamitin yung mga naka-underline words na yan para malaman mo kung ano yung pwede mong pang-convergent validity sa instrument na dinedevelop mo. So according to this article, ang suicide ideation daw correlated with what? Una, depressive symptoms. So pwedeng pang-convergent validity or established test that measures depression. So meron kang dalawang option dyan. Pwede kang bumili ng BDI, Beck's Depression Inventory, or pwede ka rin bumili ng Hamilton Depression Rating Scale. Isa lang naman yung pwede mong dyan, no? Isa lang yung kailangan mong piliin, and then yun ngayon yung gagamitin mo pang-correlate ng instrument na ginagawa mo. Other than depression, sabi rin sa literature, correlated din pala yung suicide ideation sa hopelessness. So, ang isa pang option mo dyan, hanap ka ng established test on hopelessness, such as General Hopelessness Scale or Beck Hopelessness Scale. So, i-administer mo yan sa population, i-correlate mo yung dalawa, and from there, malalaman mo kung yung test mo is indeed valid using convergent validity. Alright? Now, still under convergent validity, this is very important. I want you to listen hard, alright? Meron pang isang procedure, ang convergent validity, na mas nire-recommend ng mga psychometricians, wherein ang nangyayari dito, i-correlate mo yung ginagawa mong test sa isa pang test na merong construct na eksakto, parehong-pareho sa construct ng test mo. So, going back to my suicide ideation scale, example, ito yung ginagawa mong test, suicide ideation scale. Paano mo papatunayan na yan nga ang mini-measure niyan? Hanap ka ng established test na nagme-measure din ng suicide ideation. Parehong-pareho. Suicide ideation yung ginagawa mong test. Suicide ideation din yung established test na gagamitin mo pang convergent validity. Okay? Pwede rin yung approach na yon. Pero, wala ba kayo nakikitang weird in this approach? I always ask this to my students in the class, no? And nakikita naman nila yung something weird dito. 'Di ba? So kayo, i-pause nyo yung video and then think about this. Ano yung parang may mali dito sa procedure na to? Especially dito sa red circles na yan. Okay? If you can follow my line of thinking, ang tamang tanong dito is, meron na palang test na nagme-measure ng suicide ideation. Such as ito, yung Suicide Ideation Attribute Scale, nasa market na yan, valid na yan, reliable na yan. So bakit gumagawa pa tayo ng instrument na yun din ang mini-measure? Hindi ba sinasayang lang natin yung mga oras natin in using this procedure, no? Ang sagot, hindi. So in the field of psychometrics, what could be the different reasons why gumagawa pa tayo ng isang test na meron na palang established test on that psychological construct? Okay, ito ang mga sagot dyan. Siguro kasi, gusto mong gumawa ng shorter version of an existing test. Baka kasi yung Suicide Ideation Attribute Scale, let's say masyado nang mahaba. Okay, let's say 200 items yan. Alam naman natin, in psychometrics, hindi maganda yung masyadong maraming items. Test takers will less likely to take it seriously. So, ang gagawin mo, magde-develop ka ng test na mas maikli para mas seryosohin, mas hindi nakakatamad sagutan. Another reason would be, siguro gagawa ka ng cheaper version of an existing test. Siguro, itong test na to masyadong mahal kasi masyadong sikat. Sobrang ganda ng mga psychometric properties. So, gusto mong i-competensya. Gusto mo maging competition doon sa existing test, gawa ka ng mas mura. Mas konti yung items, mas mura pa. Pero kahalintulad ng performance ng existing test. O, di ba? Pag napatunayan mo na yung test mo ganun, yung tao sa'yo pupunta. Yung test mo yung bibilin. Kasi pipili ngayon sila, ano kayang bibilin nating test? Yung mas mahaba na mas mahal o yung sayo na mas maikli na mas mura? O di doon na sila sa mas maikli at mas mura, nakaparehas lang naman ng performance ng test na to, na mas mahal at mas mahaba. And number 3, ito may pagkasikolohiyang Pilipino, no? The reason why we're doing this is because maybe we want to develop a local version of a psychological instrument that is developed in the West, which is again isa yan sa mga call, isa yan sa mga pangangailangan sa psikolohiyang Pilipino. 'Di ba sa Filipino psychology, isa yan sa mga issues, no? Bakit sa Pilipinas alam natin na ang Filipino mind is unique compared to other psyches. Pero ang mga ginagamit natin mga instruments in measuring the Filipino mind are tests that are mostly developed in the West. So to answer that need, yan yung pwede natin gawin. Gagawa tayo ng local version ng isang existing Western-made test, no? Like for example, yung Stanford Binet Intelligence Test. Ano ang construct nito? Intelligence. And this is the gold standard of IQ test. Ito na yung pinakamataas na na klase ng IQ test. So, sa Pilipinas, kapag nagme-measure tayo ng intelligence, marami pa rin gumagamit ng Stanford Binet. Pero ang problema dyan, the way we understand intelligence, the way Filipinos express intelligence, it's not the same as how Western people express intelligence. Pero ang problema, yun nga yung instrument na ginagamit natin for our culture. An instrument that is developed in the Western conception of intelligence. So, hindi tugma. Kumbaga, in using psychometric language, hindi culture fair. Yung karamihan ng IQ test na binibigay natin sa mga Filipino population. So, dito ngayon papasok yung pag-develop ng isa pang test na parehong-pareho ng construct ng test na to. It's just that yung test na dinedevelop natin dito will become localized version of the Western-made test. Kaya sana magkaroon ng panahon, no? Yung mga psychometricians natin na magkaroon tayo ng test na pangbangga natin, pangtapat natin sa Stanford Binet Intelligence Test, such as gawa tayo ng Mang Tomas, panukat ng katalinuhan. Wherein in this instrument, the way we will measure intelligence is according to the way Filipinos really express intelligence. So medyo madugong usapan yan, no? I talk about this in my classrooms, no? This is an entire 1.5 hours of lecture. So pero at this point, hinto na lang muna tayo doon. So that's one reason bakit pa tayo gumagawa ng isa pang test na ganun din ang construct. Alright? So let's move on to case number 3. What if yung dinedevelop mong optimism scale number 1 or letter A, wala siyang age pattern, and then meron ka pang letters B and C. Ibig sabihin, kung may B and C, wala nang convergent validity. So, dalawang procedure na ang hindi mo pwedeng gamitin, may paraan pa ba para ma-validate mo yung optimism test mo? Ang sagot, meron. Kaya tayo gagawa ng discriminant validity, wherein in this procedure, kinokorrelate natin yung ginagawa nating test sa isang established test na merong construct na what's the keyword? Iba. Unrelated to the construct of our test. Kaya nga yung shape dito, isang circle, isang triangle. Discriminant, from the word discriminate or different. So, paano ginagawa ang discriminant validity? Step 1, hanap ka ng established test na hindi naman related sa construct ng test na ginagawa mo. Remember, ang ginagawa nating test dito, ang construct optimism. So, anong gagawin natin? Hanap tayo ng construct na hindi related, walang kinalaman sa optimism, such as, let's pick, religiousness. Paano natin nalaman na ang religiousness walang kinalaman sa optimism? Again, nagbasa tayo ng review of literature. Nung nagbasa ka ng review of literature, wala kang na-encounter na statement na nagsasabi that optimism connects to religiousness. So, pwedeng ebidensya na yon na ang religiousness hindi talaga connected sa optimism. The fact na hindi siya sinasabi sa literature na connected siya sa optimism, pwede mo nang piliin ang religiousness for this procedure. Step 2, you administer these two tests to the same population So, isang population, dalawang test ang kukunin, isang optimism, isang religiousness, and then at the end of the day, you correlate. So, ganito ang encoding niyan sa Jamovi. Dalawang columns, optimism scores, and then katabi niya, religiousness scores. Got that? Mag-iiba ngayon yung gusto mong makita given the possible outcomes for you to conclude that your test is valid. Ano ang gusto mong makita para mapatunayan mo na yung test mo is valid nga yung nasa huli? Now you want to see a correlation that is weak between those two variables. Kasi yun nga ine-expect mo eh. Pinapatunayan mo na yung optimism scale mo, hindi siya religiousness scale. And outcome number 3 proves that. Kasi pag nakita mo yung outcome 3, ibig sabihin nun, walang kinalaman yung optimism mo sa religiousness scale, which proves that your test indeed is not a religiousness scale. Got that? Yun ang tinatawag nating discriminant validity. Pero, if you notice, for those of you who read journal articles, bihira ginagamit ang discriminant validity. Usually, ang madalas na ginagamit na validation procedure, convergent. As in, bihira ka makita ng discriminant. Ang tanong, bakit? Bakit kaya ang convergent validity mas dapat mong i-prioritize than discriminant validity? Anong meron? It has something to do with the strength of evidence of your test's validity. Let me further explain. No? Halimbawa, balik tayo doon sa discriminant validity where yung ginagawa nating optimism score or test, kinorelate mo sa isang test na hindi related ang construct which is religiousness. Tapos ang relationship is weak ang relationship. What does that prove? It proves that yes, your test, nadoble yung your ko dito. Your test is not religiousness. Tama yun. Kasi nga hindi nga sila correlated, weak ang relationship. But it does not follow that your test really measures optimism. Got that? Ang alam lang natin, yung test mo, hindi siya yung optimism test mo, hindi siya religiousness. Pero, hindi pa rin niya pinapatunayan na yung test mo, optimism nga, yung mine-measure. Ikumpara mo yan doon sa convergent validity. Lalong-lalo na kapag gumamit ka ng isa pang test, established test na parehong-pareho ng construct ng test mo. So, gumagawa ka ng optimism scale, kinorelate mo yan sa established test on optimism, and it turned out na ang correlation coefficient is direct and strong, confirmed na yung test mo really measures optimism. Got that? Kumbaga, mas matibay na ebidensya ito na ang test mo valid. Nagme-measure nga ng optimism compared to discriminant validity. Mas matibay na ebidensya ang convergent validity than discriminant validity. Yung analogy ko nga dito, no, parang ano ang mas matibay na basihan ng pagmamahal ng isang lalaki sa isang babae? Letter A. Ang isang lalaki niyaya yung babae na magpakasal, o letter B, yung lalaki na nagbibigay ng yum burger sa babae. Alin dun yung mas maniniwala ka na yung lalaki, mahal niya talaga yung babae? Syempre, if you are in your right state of mind, ito ang pipiliin mo. Diba? Kasi ito ang binibigay niya, buhay niya, para dun sa minamahal niya. Ito, ang binibigay lang niya, yum burger, hindi yung buong sarili niya. Nagigets nyo? So, kumbaga, ito yung parang convergent validity, ito yung discriminant validity. So, if you can follow my line of thinking, may isa na naman kayong dapat tinatanong ngayon. So, bakit pa tayo gumagamit ng discriminant validity kung ang priority naman pala dapat is convergent validity? One possible use kasi of discriminant validity is when you are trying to explore an entirely new psychological construct. As in, yung construct na to, yung variable na to, gusto mong patunayan na one of its kind. Very different from the other existing construct. Halimbawa, sa psikolohiyang Pilipino, gusto nating i-explore yung konsepto ng epal. At ang kiniklaim mo sa isang conference na na-discover mo na ang epal, iba siya sa expression ng personality ng mga Pilipino. Hindi siya pumapasok sa Big Five model of personality. Diba ang sabi ng Big Five, ang ugali ng tao na hati sa 5 components. Ocean, openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Yun nga yung kiniklaim mo. Kulang yan kapag pinag-uusapan natin mga Pilipino. Kasi ang mga Pilipino merong unique sa atin na wala sa Big Five, yung EPAL. Kaya ang claim mo dapat OCEAN ang tawag. Openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, and EPAL. Yun yung claim mo. Pero para mapatunayan mo yung claim na yon, na totoo nga yung sinasabi mo, syempre tatanungin ka sa conference dyan Ano ang psychometric evidence mo that EPAL is a uniquely different psychological construct compared to the Big Five? O anong psychometric evidence ang pwede mong i-present kapag kinorelate mo yung EPAL trait scale sa bawat isa dyan sa Big Five at lumabas lahat yan weak ang relationship? So kinorelate mo yung EPAL scale sa O, EPAL scale sa C, EPAL scale sa E, sa A, sa N, at lahat yon weak ang relationship, which is again the procedure of discriminant validity. It proves na talaga ang EPAL unique trait yan from the Big Five personality traits. Yon. So yun yung dahilan kung bakit ka magdi-discriminant validity. Okay? So last one, case number 4. Ito medyo practical yung question dito. Doon sa previous procedures, gumagastos ka kasi. 'Di ba? Para ma-validate mo yung test mo, bibili ka ng mga established tests. Whether it's convergent validity or discriminant validity, you need to buy established tests. Paano kung wala kang pera? Pwede ka pa rin bang mag-validate ng isang psychological test na hindi ka bumibili ng established test? Ang sagot, pwede. Pwede mong gamitin yung contrasted groups wherein ang gagamitin mo dito hindi mga established psychological tests, rather contrasting groups. Grupo ng mga tao ang gagamitin mo dito. One good example of this would be halimbawa, gumawa ka ng scale that measures job stress. So given the construct of your test, mag-isip ka ng contrasting groups na may kinalaman sa job stress. Ang magandang example dyan would be, hanap ka ng grupo ng mga tao na may trabaho at grupo ng mga tao na tambay, walang trabaho. Sila ngayon yung bigyan mo ng job stress scale mo. Siyempre, ano minimeasure ng test mo? Job stress. Obviously, sino dapat ang mas mataas ang job stress? Dapat mas mataas yung job stress ng mga tao may trabaho kumpara sa mga tambay. Diba? If that's what you saw, or if that's what you see, using this procedure, then it proves na yung test mo, nagme-measure nga ng job stress. Kasi napaka-obvious. Diba? Itong mga taong to, may job. Di may stress sila kumpara sa mga taong walang jobs. Malungkot ka kapag hindi ganyan yung nakita mo, baliktad pa. Kung sino pa yung tambay, sila pa yung mababa yung stress. Kung sino pa yung kung sino pa yung tambay, sila pa yung mataas ang stress. Kung sino pa yung may trabaho, sila pa yung mababa yung stress. Maybe your test is not measuring job stress but something else. Isa pang approach dito is pwede ka rin mag-review of literature. Given the construct of your test which is job stress, hanap ka ngayon sa literature ng mga stress o ng mga jobs na matataas ang stress levels. As you can see here on the screen. Sabihin natin ito yung nire-report sa'yo ng literature. So hanap ka ng dalawang populations dyan, sila ngayon yung gamitin mo as contrasting groups. So bigyan mo yung mga bombero ng test na binavalidate mo versus bigyan mo yung mga waiter ng test na binavalidate mo. And if your test is valid, if it really measures job stress, ano dapat ang finding? Based on the literature, dapat mas mataas ang stress ng mga bumbero kumpara sa mga waiter. Pero kung hindi yun ang nakita mo, iba ang nakita mo, mas mababa pa yung stress ng mga bumbero kaysa mga waiter, what does that say? Maybe your test is not measuring job stress but something else. Again, ang tawag sa procedure na yan, contrasted groups, hindi na tayo bumibili ng established test to validate your psychological test. Alright? So yan ang naging maikling lecture natin on the different validity procedures. Ang diniscuss ko lang dito yung numbers 1 to 4. Yung discussion ko on factor analysis, separate video. Hanapin niyo and then you watch it. Okay? Basta yung factor analysis, under pa rin yan ng validity procedure. So sana nakatulong tong maikling lecture natin on validity. Sana mas naintindihan nyo kung anong ibig sabihin ng validity at kung paano gawin yung different validity procedures. Kung meron kayong mga questions, comments, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa baba. Sir Howard here. Until the next lecture, God bless everyone. Bye-bye.